Okay, boys and girls, we are going to read a narrative nonfiction called Brothers at Bat by Audrey Vernick. Now, good readers make and confirm predictions to stay interested and involved in the narrative. Now, here we have make and confirm predictions. A prediction is a guess you make about what is going to happen in a selection or a story. Now, before we read, we look at the cover and we read the title of the story. We look at the text features and illustrations, and then we predict what the text will be about. We look at the genre as well, so we want to try to think about how the genre is going to affect our predictions. Now, during our reading, we stop and think about what we read, and we guess about what we think is going to happen next. We think, what is going to happen next? Yes?
I was reading one of my books for my book report, and I finished like a chapter, and I was like, I know I'm gonna make a prediction what's gonna happen.
Were you right?
I think
Yes, I do that all the time. I'm reading a mystery book right now, and it's a murder mystery, and somebody was murdered, and I'm trying to figure out who it is. They found the body, but I don't know, it's one of the characters, and I'm trying to think, well, who was it? I don't even know who was killed yet,
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
so I'm trying to figure that out. They haven't said yet which of the characters it was, so I'm trying to figure that out. And then I'll be trying to figure out who did it. So, try to figure that out. So that's what something readers do. And then after reading, I'm going to confirm or adjust my prediction. I'm going to think to myself, was I right? So, probably I'm going to be wrong. I'm usually wrong about who did it anyhow. So, we're going to practice making, correcting, and confirming predictions as we're reading Brothers at Bat. Yes?
Me and my mom were watching this movie called Baker's Murder,
Okay.
and it was on Hallmark. So we were thinking who killed Coach.
Oh, yes? Were you right?
We don't know because it got lost.
Oh, it got lost. Oh, no. Yes. Anastasia.
I have something to share.
Yes.
Can I share it? Can I get these for that restaurant?
Yes.
So one time we were watching Blue for the first time on my mom's birthday in October, and we were trying to figure out who was going to die, and we were absolutely wrong. It was the butler.
It was the butler. So we're often doing that. We are often making predictions about things and making guesses, and we do that a lot of times when we're watching things and when we're reading books and selections. That's what a good reader does. And that's what you do when you're watching things as well. You're trying to figure things out. Okay? So that's what we're going to do with our story, Brothers at Bat. So, as we're preparing to read, boys and girls, I want you to look at your book. So you can open it up. We're on page 416. Okay? So let's look on 416. Brothers at Bat. Oh, wait, I don't want to be that far. I'm going to miss something here. I want to start at the prepared to read. Oh, there it is. So let's look at our genre focus. It's narrative nonfiction. Now, we've read other narrative nonfiction, and it gives factual information by telling a story, like The Flag Maker. That was factual nonfiction, or that was narrative nonfiction. So narrative nonfiction gives factual information by telling a story. Narrative nonfiction, could you please put that away? Presents events in sequential or chronological order. Narrative nonfiction includes real people. Narrative nonfiction may tell about historical events. Like remember the Flag Maker, that was narrative nonfiction, boys and girls. So here's what we want to do. We want to think about the title and genre of this text. The title includes the word baseball. What do you know about baseball? What would you like to learn? What do you know about baseball? What would you like to learn about baseball? Avery?
So what I know about baseball is there's always someone that is throwing the ball, and there's always someone that is hitting the ball, and there's the one in the ground behind the pitcher, or the one behind the batter.
Okay. Very nice. Teddy?
Usually there's a lot of people, and they usually have like protection if you're like batting the ball or pitching it, because the ball can come right at you.
Yes. Very good. What do you know about baseball? Logan?
I don't really pay attention to baseball.
Oh, so what would you like to learn about baseball? You can kind of look at maybe a few of the pictures in this story. Maybe there's something you'd like to know. Clark?
So one thing I know about baseball is the Sox are bad.
Oh, well. No, the Sox are never bad.
They're always
They're always striving to be better.
They're stinky.
They're the best. Mikey?
Nobody says I know that the Sox are the worst team ever. And
No.
No. Dad, no.
Dad. Okay, no arguing.
And halfway person, and then all the bases are covered.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to write in your little section there where you have what you would like to know, what you would like to learn about baseball, what you would like to learn about baseball. Yes. Yes, you were able to use it after you asked your question. Okay, Yanni, what did you write? I can't hear you.
Who's a better team?
Okay. What did you write, Clark?
Why they try to hit the ball around the stadium?
Okay. What did you write, Kelsey?
Why they keep people up in the batter?
Okay. Very nice. What'd you write, Juliana?
If there can be a team with all brothers.
If there can be a team with all brothers. That's interesting because it's called Brothers at Bat. What did you write, Ivy?
Why is it called baseball?
Why is it called baseball? That's interesting. That's an interesting question. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so let's meet our author and illustrator before we even start. So here's our author and illustrator. Audrey Vernick is an award-winning author who also loves to read. In fact, she can't get enough of Harriet the Spy. Ooh, has anybody here read Harriet the Spy?
No.
Oh, that's so good. It was one of my favorites when I was your age, Harriet the Spy. She rereads at any chance she gets. She also likes to visit schools to talk about what she calls the dark mysteries of writing. That seems like a mystery that she has solved. Let's get to our, oh, sorry boys and girls.
Oh, no.
One of the reasons Stephen Salerno wanted to illustrate Brothers at Bat is because parts of the story reminded him of events that his own family had experienced. He hopes his illustrations honor his family's history as well as that of the Sierra family. Now, could anybody tell me, do an author and illustrator work together? Do you think they work together as a team?
Yes.
What do you think? You said yes?
Yep.
Tell me about that.
So one has to be an author, one has to be an illustrator. The illustrator, like how he writes the book, and the author like tells the story.
Does the illustrator, I don't think the illustrator writes the book. What does the illustrator do? What does the illustrator do?
Like tells the story of the book.
Well, they tell the story in a certain way, but they're not writing it. How does an illustrator help tell the story? What do, Logan?
They draw the pictures.
They draw the pictures, so they're telling the story through the pictures. And so how do they work together, do you think? Kelsey?
They work together because the author writes the book, so the illustrator knows what to draw.
So the illustrator knows what to draw. And they have to convey the story, right, through their drawings. So they have to make sure that what they're drawing is what the author has written. Very, very good. Okay, so boys and girls, let's turn to our story, Brothers at Bat.
The true story of an amazing all-brother baseball team. Brothers at Bat. Written by Audrey Vernick. Illustrated by Steven Salerno.
Oh, what do you notice about in the bat? What are you noticing? What do you notice? Look at the bat. What do you see? Thomas?
The names of people.
Names of people in the bat. Maybe we'll find out what that is. Maybe we'll find out all about that when we read the story. So let's look. We see our first page. Oh, I love these illustrations. These are awesome.
When winter's chill melts into spring, back doors swing open and slap shut as kids just home from school run outside, mitts, bats, and balls in hand. In one New Jersey town near the ocean, back in the 1920s and 30s, you could hear the same door slam over and over. 3 brothers raced out. Out went 3 more. And more. And still more.
So what facts on this page tell you that this is a story about real people? How do we know that this is about real people? Yanni?
Because it says it was back in the 1920s and the 1930s.
That tells us in the 1920s and 1930s. Anything else tell us that it's a real story? Any other facts? Anastasia?
It's in New Jersey.
It's in New Jersey. So it's in real time and place.
It sounds like a fairy tale. 12 baseball-playing brothers.
Wow.
But Anthony, Joe, Paul, Alfred, Charlie, Jimmy, Bobby, Billy, Freddie, Eddie, Bubby, and Louie Acera were real. They had 4 sisters, too. Catherine, Florence, Rosina, and Frances. And a white dog named Pitch. The sisters didn't play ball. Back then, most people thought sports were just for boys.
Oh, wow. Why do you think the author gives the name of all 16 Acera children and the dog? Why do you think they did that? Why do you think the author did that? Kelsey?
To tell you how many kids she had.
To show how many kids they have? Avery?
Because they were all her children, and in the beginning when it said it sounded like a fairy tale, that's because she had all those children.
Yeah, to show us how many kids there were, right? Because it's amazing, yes?
To give us information about them.
To give us information about them. Because that is to show, to show how big that family is. And that's kind of fun to hear all their names, isn't it? I like hearing all the names. To show how huge the family is in a fun way.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
The Aceras had so many kids that they slept 2 to a bed and sat 3 across in their outdoor bathroom. They ate dinner wherever they could find a seat. Even on a baseball field, there were more boys than positions. But that didn't stop them from playing. Baseball set the rhythm of their lives.
Whoa.
Every spring, Freddie said, you would take your glove out, go in the yard, and play. Neighbors couldn't recall a time when there weren't Acera boys outside tossing the ball, hitting it hard, racing around, with the young ones watching, wishing they were old enough to play. Their high school baseball team had an Acera on it 22 years in a row. In 1938, the brothers ranged in age from 7 to 32. The oldest 9 formed their own semi-pro team and competed against other New Jersey teams. Their father coached them and never missed a game. Their uniforms all said the same thing, Aceras.
So in 1938, which of the Acera brothers played semi-pro baseball?
Baseball. Is it Anthony?
Thomas? Which ones played semi-pro baseball? Which Aceras played which of the Acera brothers played semi-pro baseball? Mikey?
All of them?
Not all of them. Libby?
Anthony?
You don't have to name their names, it's just a general thing. Olive?
The oldest 9.
The oldest 9 did. And why didn't the other brothers play on that team? Clark?
They were too young.
They were too young. They were too young. And then here they all are. Look at all their names and all their ages. You can see them all.
The infields
Oh,
they
wait.
played on
Go
were
back.
the
Sorry, I want to go back.
out.
Now, can you use the illustration to figure out the names of the Acera brothers who played on the semi-pro baseball team? Who played on the baseball team? Who played on the baseball team? Teddy, who played on the baseball team?
Anthony, Joe, Paul, Alfred, Charlie, Jimmy, Bobby, Billy, and Freddie.
Yes, the oldest. So these 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good job.
Thank you.
The infields they played on were dirt. Outfields were littered with rocks and sand. The brothers loved to talk about the day they played at the old dog track, an oceanfront stadium that had once been an auto raceway. It was there that Anthony, the oldest, hit a couple of home runs right into the Atlantic Ocean. They called Anthony Poser because of the way he'd stand at the plate, as if his baseball card photo were being taken. Charlie, the 5th oldest, was the slowest brother. He was a good player, but a terrible runner. The brothers often joked about the time he hit a ball nearly out of the park, but only made it to second. Jimmy, the 6th brother, had a knuckleball people still talk about. You couldn't hit it, Eddie said. You couldn't catch it either. That ball danced in the air. Jimmy was a great hitter too, probably the best player on the team. Littered. If an area is littered with items, those items are scattered all around.
So, boys and girls, the author, sometimes when you're reading things, thinks that you probably already have an idea about some of the baseball things that are going on in here. They probably think you already know what a knuckleball is. Does anybody know what a knuckleball is?
Nope. No.
What do you think a knuckleball is? What do you think it could be?
A ball.
What do you think it is? Juliana?
A fastball.
A type of fastball? What do you think it is, Ethan?
Did they call it a knuckleball?
What?
Did they call it a knuckleball?
It is a type of pitcher knuckleball. Yes. Yes, Avery?
So it's like if you get, so it's like a pitcher throws it to you, and like the other person.
Okay. Anastasia?
It's a ball that you hit with your really hard, like a knuckle would be really hard.
Teddy?
It's like when the pitcher throws the ball and the batter doesn't hit it and the guy behind him catches it.
Clark?
A really fast pitch.
It's the way he grips it. It's a special grip that he uses, and he grips it using his knuckles. So it's called a knuckleball. So it is very difficult pitch. Okay, let's keep reading.
But there was no jealousy, no rivalry, no fighting. As the younger brothers grew up, the older ones shared playing time. If someone dropped a fly ball or struck out, no one screamed or threw down his glove or stomped off the field. We stuck together, Freddie said. The team played around New Jersey, in New York, Connecticut, wherever they could find a good game. Paul sent out letters looking for new teams to play. The all-brother team always drew big crowds. Rivalry. A rivalry is a competition between teams or people who want to win the same thing.
So what details does the author include to support the quotation by Freddie, "We stuck together"? Avery?
Like, when it said like they stuck together, like they worked together and they weren't like, they weren't loyal to each other, that if you won, if you lost, or if you didn't get picked, they all were brothers and they were really nice to each other.
Yes, and could somebody give me some text evidence of that? Where does it say that in the text? Give me some text evidence that shows that they stuck together. Text evidence. Anastasia?
It says that, but there was no jealousy, no rivalry, no fighting.
Yes, thank you.
In 1939, at the New York World's Fair, the Aceras were honored as the biggest family in New Jersey. They were taken to the Newark Airport, where they boarded a plane and were flown over the fairgrounds. They couldn't believe it. No one they knew had been on a plane before. Most of the people at the World's Fair, looking up at that small plane in the sky, had no idea there was a whole team of brothers aboard. But it wasn't all fun and games and sunny skies. Their darkest day occurred on the field, too.
Okay.
Oh no.
What information on this page shows that this is a true story? How do we know that this is a true story? Yanni?
Because in 1939, they were taken and honored as the biggest family in New Jersey.
Very good. And what details in the text supports the author's idea that some of the things the Acera brothers did is all fun and games? That some of the things the Acera brothers did is all fun and games and sunny skies. What detail in the text supports the author's idea that some of the things the Acera brothers did is all fun and games and sunny skies? Heidi.
So they played on the team together.
And what else did they do on page 426? Yeah, they flew around in that plane.
Freddie was on third base in a scoreless game. Alfred was at the plate. He touched his shoulder, the signal that he was going to bunt. Then things went wrong. The pitch came in high, and somehow the ball bounced off the bat and hit Alfred hard, right in the face. They rushed him to the doctor, but he lost an eye. For the next few months, Eddie took Alfred's place as catcher. Everyone thought Alfred's baseball days were over. But when you have 11 brothers willing to throw you balls in the yard, gently at first, then a bit harder, you get your skills back. You get your courage back, too. Alfred was soon wearing the Aceras uniform again. He was a pretty good catcher for a guy with one eye, Freddie said.
Sorry, Freddie.
In the 1940s, something pulled the brothers' attention away from baseball. American soldiers were fighting in the Second World War across the Atlantic, that same huge ocean Poser had hit baseballs into. Battles were raging and soldiers were dying, but the brothers knew it was important to fight for their country. The team disbanded as 6 Acera brothers joined the service. Poser was the first to go. He, Charlie, Eddie, and Bobby all served in the Army. After Billy joined the Marines, Freddie did too. Disbanded. If a group disbanded, its members no longer work together.
So why did the Acera Brothers team disband in the 1940s? Clark?
Because they were important to serve their country, so they all started to join the army.
Yeah, they all went into the service.
Oh, great.
Those 6 brothers traveled far from home. After a lifetime of talking and playing together every day, they now went months, years, without seeing one another. They longed for the salty stew smell of the Atlantic Ocean. They dreamed of their childhood home, of the back door slap, slap, slapping as they ran outside to play, and of long afternoons, throwing a ball in high, soaring arcs from glove to glove to glove in a field full of brothers. Back in New Jersey, their parents and siblings waited for news. It took a long time for letters to reach them from overseas. There was a lot of time to worry. When the war finally ended, everyone was so happy. Eddie, out in California with the Army, was so excited that he went up to women he didn't even know and kissed them. Many American soldiers died in World War II, but the Aceras were very lucky. One by one, all 6 brothers returned from their time in the service. Mama Acera cried each time a boy walked in the door.
So what happens to the Acera family at the end of World War II? Ethan?
When Armor died, he was so happy that
I'm asking you, what happens to the Acera family at the end of World War II?
he disbanded.
No. No, they didn't disband. Ivy?
They came home from World War II.
They came home from World War II. And why does Mama Acera cry? Juliana?
It was a long time since you saw her again.
Yes, and she's so happy, right? That they're all safe.
By the summer of 1946, the family was ready to get back to baseball. They were all older, of course, and Poser's heart had grown weak, so now he coached the team. They joined the Long Branch City Twilight Baseball League, and over the next 6 years, won the league championship 4 times. Every Sunday, crowds filled the stands to watch the all-brother team play. As time passed, the Aceras got married and moved into their own homes. They worked hard at their jobs, at the water company, at the post office, selling insurance. They started having children of their own. In 1952, they played their last game as a team. But they had already made history. The Acera brothers were the longest playing all-brother baseball team ever.
So what text details help you make an inference about why the Acera brothers stopped playing baseball? Why did they stop playing baseball? Clark?
They started to get married and have children of their own.
And so they got to be too,
Old to play.
maybe not too old. Yeah, too old, and they got to be too what? Anastasia?
They got married.
Yes. Ivy?
They got to eat.
Not too weak, but too. Avery?
They got really busy.
They got really busy. Yeah, they probably got busy. Too busy with other things.
In 1997, the Baseball Hall of Fame held a special ceremony to honor them. Only 7 were still alive. Paul, Alfred, Bobby, Billy, Freddie, Eddie, and Bubby all made the trip, along with more than 100 relatives, including their sister Frances. Jimmy's son donated his father's uniform and glove, which were put on display right there in the same museum that honored Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb and Willie Mays. They treated us like we were kings, Freddie said. Donated. Something that is donated is freely given as a gift to a charity, organization, or other group. After such a thrilling day, you could picture them driving off into the sunset happily ever after. But their bus broke down. They could have sat on the curb, grumbling in the summer heat. But someone found a bat and ball, and as 3 generations of Aceras waited for a new bus, they played ball. That ball soared from grandfather to granddaughter, from father to son, from brother to brother. Generations. A generation is all the people in a family, social group, or country that are about the same age. Soared. If something soared, it flew quickly through the air.
So compare the illustration on page 429 to the illustration on this page. How are the pictures similar and different? How are they similar and different? Logan?
They're different because they look older.
They look older. What else is different? Yanni?
Yeah, they look older.
Olive, what else is different?
The house isn't there.
Okay. Ivy?
There's not like the ocean in the background.
Yes, they're in a different place, so the ocean isn't there. Juliana?
There's not just the brothers. There's grandchildren and sons and daughters.
Yeah, there's granddaughters there, there's girls there, there's not just the brothers. Very nice. This was a good story. Who enjoyed this story? I enjoyed this story very much. So tonight you'll read this story again. Sarah.